Hello, I'm Sam, and that noise is the river behind the camera there. So I'm in the forest. It's very early in the morning. I only woke up a little short time ago. Thankfully the mornings are getting lighter, and I wanted to come here before anyone else arrived so I could share a few thoughts. So we're going to walk along the path to a secret place, a green and mossy womb-like place, and it's a place where during a time, a period that was almost timeless, when I was going through a catastrophic breakdown, a disintegration of my identity, and nothing worked anymore. I didn't work anymore. My ways, my strategies, my coping mechanisms, nothing worked anymore. And I would come here to this place I'm taking you now. So it's a little ways yet, but I thought I'd start recording here. So there is quite a lot I want to say in this video, so it's going to be a little longer than the last one. The last one was fairly short and clear, and thank you to everyone that found their way to the channel through that video, new subscribers. There were some amazing comments under the last video. So I wanted to clarify something, because I think there are a very small number of people, a minority, that misunderstand what I'm doing with this channel. So when I talk about the past, and I do that fairly often, I reference the past. I talk about the horrors of what I've experienced. Not in any great detail, I just mention it. I never talk in detail. That is re-traumatizing. So I don't do it. But I mention it, and I mention it because it's important for me to emphasize change. Because the people that watch these videos are very probably in the midst of this process, or they're stuck and they don't think that they can change, and they're in pain. But you can change. You can change. That's why I mention the past, because I want to say that this is what I've experienced. This is my life now. Change is possible. And I'm making sense of that transformation, because what is healing? Nothing is healed. Nothing is healed. Nothing is healed. It's not a finite process. You are transforming. And that's what I'm making sense of in these videos, that transformation. It's the letting go of the patterns, the ways, the methods, the strategies that bind us in a world only as small as our fear. I'm going to show you something here. These have been here for weeks and weeks and weeks. I think since last spring. So somebody keeps coming back and putting them back, or rearranging them, because we've had really high winds and driving torrential rain. Maybe it's the creatures of the forest, fairies. I think it's beautiful. So I used to come here quite often, just bring a book of poetry, sometimes try and record some thoughts, and just, I don't know, I felt not safe here, but just a degree of peace in the chaos of what I was experiencing as I was disintegrating, breaking down. So I'll get there in a sec. I'll get into the meat of the video. Here it is. This stump here, I have sat countless times, disappearing into the noise, the gentle sound of the stream, and the nature's white noise of the river behind us. Stillness, but the presence of life. And that, in a sense, is terrifying and awe-inspiring at the same time. You know, I get the same feeling here as I do, you know, standing next to a horse or a great big heifer. It's the presence of life. It's alive. It's alive. I've said this in loads of videos. I'm going to say it again for new subscribers. You know, when I first came to Scotland, I was so convinced of my own corruption, my own wrongness. I couldn't come into the woods, couldn't come into the forest, because I thought my presence was so damaging to the creatures and, you know, the trees and the land. But I don't feel like that now, and that's what I'm trying my best to do in these videos, is to document, to chronicle that transformation for the benefit of others. So these videos do help me, because I see very clearly I go through extreme vulnerability. And I know there are loads of therapists that watch my videos who probably think that's unwise, but I've started, so I'm going to finish. I'm not going to stop now. And the vulnerability is the pointer towards shame. Why do I feel vulnerable? Because people can see me, and they can see things that maybe I can't see. And that's scary when you've had distressing beginning to life and you learn that your presence is only worthy of abuse or neglect. You internalize that sense of shame. My presence in the world is corrupt. My presence in the world is wrong. I should apologize. And that's how I live my whole life. So the videos are difficult for me quite often. Invariably, I see things I couldn't see before. I feel things I couldn't feel before. And that is difficult. But they mean something to other people. And in a sense, this channel is and has been redemptive for me. It's been redemption, because as a deeply traumatized person, very wounded, terrified person, I brought a lot of chaos and pain into the world, and I hurt people. I hurt people through my actions, through my self-centeredness, because I was protecting myself. And so this is my offering, because, you know, when we are traumatized and we're self-centered, that's the essence of why we're in pain. That's why we're isolated. So we need to come into a relationship. We need to come into balance, and we don't find balance by looking for wholeness inside our own head. We find balance in relationship. So these videos are my offering, my effort to do something of value that helps other people. So somebody under the last video, they said something pretty thoughtless. They said that these videos are hurting people, words to the effect that these videos are hurting people, and I should leave this to the experts who have qualifications. And that really, really upset me. That really upset me. Because I do talk to people that reach out. Even if you reach out to me and you cry for an hour, that happens because you feel safe to do that. Because you know that you're talking to me, another person that understands what you're going through. I'm not a therapist or a counsellor, and all I do is offer a listening ear and support, because I know what you're going through, because I've been through it. I'm through the worst, and I'm now rebuilding. So if you reach out to me, I recommend that you have a counsellor or a therapist. And you know, I mean no disrespect to young people starting out in their careers, but you need someone with a lot of experience, someone that's a healer that just happens to be a therapist. That's what you need. That's what I would say anyway. I mean no offence. So, you know, sometimes I see in the comments callousness. It's very rare, but there is a direct relationship between thoughtlessness, callousness, insensitivity, and one that is insensitive to their own pain. So just be careful what you say in the comments. You know, the nature of this channel and the nature of what I'm sharing, there are vulnerable people in the comments, and I'm vulnerable. So how we conduct ourselves in the comments is important. I think this channel is a special place because there is so much support in the comments, which is why those kind of the insensitive comments, usually I just block them straight away if they're cruel or insensitive. Sometimes I engage, and it never ever goes anywhere good. But I do it because I'm defensive. I'm not doing it again. So if there is insensitivity, callousness in the comments, I'm just deleting straight away. I'm just going to block. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about in this video. Almost feels wrong to make any noise. Listen. Stillness and movement all at the same time. Okay. I should say something. You know, what is this process I'm talking about? We call it healing, but it's not. That's the word that everybody understands and uses, but it's not. It's transformation. It's transformation, and this is the greatest tragedy of childhood trauma in its many forms, is that we never, until we go through this transformation, we don't even know our true nature. We don't even know our true nature. We don't even know who we are. We can't connect to that effortless presence. The absence of resistance, the absence of conflict, the embodiment of truth. Gentle, gentle truth. Nothing to protest. Nothing to exclaim. Nothing to declare. Nothing to apologise for. You're just here. You're just here. And that is tragedy when we don't even know what that means. the unlived life. Don't fear the monsters in your own mind or the monsters in the forest. Fear not living. You know, if you are motivated by anything to go through this process, and you must go through it if you want to be free, fear that. Fear the tragedy of an unlived life. So what is this process? Why is it so painful? And it is painful. It's unavoidably painful. It's unavoidably heartbreaking. It's unavoidably heartbreaking. Because you see it all so clearly. It's marked by your courage. You are initiating yourself into the process through your courage to do something different. Don't keep doing the same things you've always done and expecting something to change. I said this in the last video. This hoped for future where you are healed and everything's okay, the pain has gone away, you've got everything you want. That's not possible. You can't have that in the way you are now. So as you transform, life meets you in a different way. Life can find you in a different way and begin to live through you in a different way, because you are it. It is you. So the longed for future that you want, you can't have it. Not in the way you are now. Because the transformation is what invites life finding you in a different way. And you'll probably find that as you go through the process, the person you are does not survive. The things you want fall away, because there is a relationship between wanting and woundedness. They're two sides of the same object. What you want very probably isn't what you actually want. It's a solution. It's a solution. So as you go through the transformation, the simple joy of the mundane is so full, so rich, it's almost mind-blowing. So you become present. You're not living in the future. You're not living in the past. There is no yesterday, there is no tomorrow. You're here. That's transformation. Why is it heartbreaking? Because you have to see who you became. You have to see the denial of your true nature, the denial of the essential truth of your being, as you've pretended to be someone else. You tried so hard to be somebody else, to be acceptable, to compensate for everything that happened. That's heartbreaking. Because every time you try and change, you will come up against your own resistance, because we become who we become because that's who we need to be. And so when there's still a need for us to be that way, you're going to resist. And you'll come up against the barrier of those behaviours and mechanisms and coping strategies, your ways. And when you come up against that, it's an opportunity to ask yourself, why am I doing this? And when you discover the reality of what you're compensating for, you will see the relationship between who you are and the heartbreak of betrayal and isolation and abuse and fear. And you'll see that there's a direct relationship. Everything you do, like I said in the last video, every thought, every word, every action, every repetitive pattern is what you need to do to cope, to compensate. Every hope, it's all the same. So the loss of hope for me was freedom. And gradually, it's a growing trust that you don't need control. Control yourself. You know, accept the fact that you're going to suffer, you're going to feel pain, you're going to die. And just live here now, be here now. Let go of that irrational fear. You know, I think because we experience such hostility, we have an expectation that if we reveal ourselves in vulnerability, if we show ourselves, if we actually show up, the expectation is that we're going to be treated with hostility, rejection, pain, violence. So we actually have to learn that that's not going to happen. It may do, but it's not about you. It's always about other. So it is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to feel all the things that you didn't want to feel, to see clearly what you didn't want to see. But your heart needs to break for it to break open, and then you can really feel. There is an unavoidable grief that comes because, you know, also the essence of our journey as a being is loss. In the words of Thomas Merton, you gain only what you give up. And if you give up everything, you gain everything. So it's the loss of illusion, the illusions that protect us from painful truths. It's the loss of hope. It's the loss of the dreams that keep us going. It's the loss of the idea of who we think we are. But as we lose all that, we gain everything. We gain presence. We gain our true nature. We gain our place. Because we're no longer denying. We're no longer withholding ourselves from inhabiting our own form and saying, I don't want to be here, it's too painful. You are opening, 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 unfolding, feeling, feeling, feeling. And you will be helped. You will be helped. The world wants you here. The world wants you here, needs you here. Your absence is noticed. And so when you step into your own courage, stop opening to feeling, do something different, stop hiding. The world says, at last, I have a brave one. Starts helping you, starts inviting you into deeper relationship, truthful presence, more intimate experience. It's always inviting you ever deeper, and you will get help. That help doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a red carpet rolled out in front of you and everything's just going to fall into place. Sometimes that happens. Help can also be a mirror. A mirror. So you can see your own self-centeredness, the horror of your own selfishness, the grossness of your own egocentricity, and how damaging that is to yourself and others. But we have to see that. We have to go through the agony of that invitation to self-awareness, because humility is essential. If you're in it for yourself all the time, you are damaging yourself and you're damaging others, and you're never ever going to be invited into relationship. You will be leading a transactional life where relationships and the world is a resource. You're taking, you're not giving. And my life began to transform truly when I lost everything apart from myself. And that's when I started to discover myself, because I said, okay, what can I do? What can I offer? And I stopped protecting myself, and I agonizingly began to give myself away. So it's a process. It's becoming. becoming, all the time becoming, all the time disappearing. Self reduces, the discovery begins. You blossom in discovery. You know, there is no story that describes you. You're not the latest event in a causal chain of events. You are discovered as you are discovering. But the thing that stands in the way of that process is because, as traumatized people, you know, whether your childhood was abusive or experienced neglect or both, we think we need to do something. We think we need to be something that involves doing, acquiring, achieving. So we're always doing, we're always trying to fix, always trying to manipulate, always trying to achieve. And all of that's rooted in the sense that there's something wrong in the first place. When you realise that the stuff you're trying to fix comes from a place of internalized self-blame. It's the same thing as when you're a child and your first effort to feel a sense of control in an abusive situation is to say, okay, this is my fault. Now I have the power because I can then do something to change. And your life depends on it. It does feel like life or death. So when you try and change as an adult and it doesn't work, it feels like you're going to die. That feeling of wrongness, it feels like you're going to die. If you're rejected, if you get it wrong, you are wrong. And if you are wrong, you're going to die. And that's the very real logic of a child. But if you just accept that there's nothing wrong, beyond the complexity going on in our head, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Nothing that happened to you was your fault. Nothing at all. Nothing you did invited abuse or neglect. Nothing. It was never about you. Maybe it was about what you represented, but it was never about you. Nothing you are is wrong. Nothing you could have done invited abuse. And then you realise this dawning realisation, this dawning transformative realisation, it wasn't my fault. There's nothing wrong. Stop trying to fix it all. So what stands in our way is the fact that we're so attached to the person we became because that's who we needed to be. The person with all the attachments and mechanisms for control and this desire to fix. That's an abstraction in your own head. So the abstraction is trying to fix what makes it real. And so periodically you'll reach this understanding, oh fuck, if I fix myself, who will I be? And so the abstraction then goes back into old patterns. And you go round and round in a cycle. So the abstraction, the illusory self in our own head, doesn't want to fix itself. Doesn't want to fix itself. It will scream and shout. When you try and let go, it will try and make you scared about something. When you try and let go, when you try and do something different, this abstraction in your own head will start screaming and shouting about all the things you need to be scared of. No, do this. I'm going to go back to this pattern. I'm going to go back to this pattern because this pattern works. This feels unsafe. You'll have nightmares. I have nightmares. So every time I make meaningful progress, I go through a process of having nightmares because that part of me that needs the fear to sustain it, it's like going, no, what are you doing? You are a distributed being. You live in a relationship, but you are in your body. You are in your body. You're not just intellect. You're not in the abstraction of this. It's not even real. This is real. This is real. This is real. You are here. You are here. So we have to get out of our own way. We have to stop trying to fix ourselves. Stop trying to change. Just turn your attention away. Nourish yourself. Don't feed yourself with the things that make you feel good temporarily. Nourish yourself by giving yourself away. And all this noise, all this complexity just will fall into the background, and you will heal in relationship. So it's an endless process. You're never healed, always healing. Never transformed, always transforming. Always becoming, always disappearing. And loss is the essence of the journey. In the end, you lose everything. So why not let go now? Everything you became, you needed to become. So forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for how you've hurt yourself. Forgive yourself for denying who you are, denying your true nature. Forgive yourself for all those years you've hated who you are, trying to escape, trying to become something else. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for self-harm. Forgive yourself. When you forgive yourself and you accept yourself in all your brokenness, it's so much easier to show up. See yourself clearly. Don't be scared of other people seeing you. You've already seen yourself. You already know the depth of your pain. And gradually you will become more and more present. The focus shifts. And it's almost like you become the moment. So no pain really goes away. When you look at those memories and experiences, you will feel pain. You're human. But as you become more stable, as the bandwidth of your presence in the world becomes more stable, it's not this piercing dagger in your heart. It's just there. It's not consuming, it's not immediate. So your feeling is kind of more objective, but also at the same time more intimate. Because as you allow yourself to open, as you allow yourself to experience that vulnerability, you can feel more deeply. Feeling is the language with which we allow the world to find us, and we understand it. And as you let go of fear, you can trust that you will have an appropriate response to whatever happens. But when we come from a place of fear, we don't, you know? We don't. There are legitimate things to be scared of. But don't be scared of who you are. Don't be scared that you're going to do something wrong. Like I said in the last video, we make mistakes. David White. What I Must Tell Myself. A poem. I feel like a blind child, arms outstretched, trying to put together a world. It's all a mystery. It's all a mystery. David White again. The world to be free in. The world was made to be free in. Give up all other worlds except the one to which you belong. This one. This one. Not this one. Not the abstraction, populated with your fear and your shame, your compensations and your grasping. Not this one. This one. The world was made to be free in. It's your birthright. You are supposed to be here. You are supposed to be here. You're supposed to embody your true nature. In radical acceptance. This is me. This is me. This is me. There's nothing wrong. There never was. That's accepting the gift. The gift that you were given for you to then give away. And it's you. It's you. So, I think that's it. Thank you to everyone that participates in the channel. You know, I think this channel is a special place. I think it is. There's so much support in the comments. You know, all I'm doing is just trying to make sense out of awakening. All I'm doing is just sharing as honestly as I can. Every single one of you that watches these videos could do exactly the same thing. You know, I'm blown away by the emails I get and the comments I read from people that are far more articulate than I am. And, you know, far more... you know, they have a greater understanding of what it is I'm experiencing. You know, there's such a good mix in the comments. So, you know, my motivation when I started this channel was just to be seen, because I'd led such an isolated life. And I didn't even know that's what I was doing. So when I did realise what I was doing, I was trying to be seen. It felt... the vulnerability just went off the off the scale, because I realised how painful that was. But I carried on. And we all need to be visible, but we also need to stop pretending to be someone we're not. And then we can really be found, really be seen. So, you know, I might be the one doing the talking, but it's, you know, the kindness and support for each other in the comments, the kindness and support for me, you know, that's what makes this channel special. I rarely see a negative comment or a cruel comment, rarely, you know. So I think we are all in relationship. We are in relationship. So thanks to everybody that participates, thanks to everyone that supports me, thanks to those that donate, and those that reach out and confide in me. You know, I do my best to answer every single email, and I'm here to talk. There was a comment actually under the last video from a regular commenter, and he said that, you know, the comment section is something special because everybody supports each other. You know, and I agree. Okay, I'm babbling now. I think that's it. So, I'll see you soon. Bye.